Propaganda is unformation, not information, unformation. This and other facts on The Daniel Natal Show. Senator Ted Cruz was in the news recently, criticizing a nominee for a prosecutor's job at the Department of Justice. What makes this nominee strange, in the larger historical arc, is that she doesn't want to actually prosecute crime. Her name is Rachel Rollins, and in her capacity as a social justice crusader in the past, she stated categorically that she will no longer prosecute crimes based on trespassing, larceny, drug dealing, breaking and entering, and shoplifting. See here.
Well, let's look at her record. First of all, Ms. Rollins, in February, she was very candid that she came into the job of DA as a crusader. Here's what she said, quote, "If you want to change the criminal legal system, become a prosecutor." Why? She explains why. Because you have, quote, "the power to determine charges and what crimes to decline to prosecute." So that's what Ms. Rollins tells you matters about a prosecutor, the power to say, I won't prosecute these crimes.
17th century political philosopher John Locke said, "Government has no other end but the preservation of property." If that's so, then what's our government doing by allowing people to openly aggress against property owners, such as Chicago recently, where police were told to stand down and allow shoplifting to happen?
Oh, look at this. Wow. Hey, look at this. Insane. Insane, yo. Yo, this is the middle of the Ulta right now. Look at this.
This is akin to multiple lootings of stores across the country, such as this Walgreens in San Francisco.
Wow.
All over the country, district attorneys, usually appointed with help from George Soros, have signaled that they will no longer prosecute shoplifting as a crime, such as California's Proposition 47, which led to a rise in shoplifting, thefts, and criminal activity all over the state. In talking about Cicero, Melissa Lane in The Birth of Politics writes, "Men move to cities in the hopes of protecting their material things. The life of the advanced political community is based on the motive of protecting private property, and this is the baseline requirement for its justified existence." So if protecting property is the baseline requirement for justifying the existence of governments, why are governments not protecting property? In fact, they're protecting the people who are destroying property and maliciously prosecuting those who are defending their homes and land, something that St. Louis couple Mark and Patricia McCloskey found out when the George Soros-funded district attorney in their city brought them up on charges for defending their home against rioters. This is something that 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse also found out when he civically went out with other young patriots to defend property from rioters. According to John Stuart Mill, Rittenhouse was acting precisely as a citizen of a republic should. Mill says that in a republic, the population helps the police. Precisely because every citizen is a de facto deputy of law enforcement, republics don't have to turn into police states. According to Mill, it's only in tyrannies that people cross to the other side of the street when they see a mugging and say, "That's the police's responsibility, not mine." The defining characteristic of a republic is an active populace, while in a tyranny, the people are trained to be passive. So Rittenhouse was behaving precisely as an American should, and as we did for the majority of our history, until now. Only now is such behavior being demonized and stigmatized by oligarchs who don't even think that you should own property, like the billionaires at the World Economic Forum who said that in 10 years you would own nothing and be happy. They call it the circular economy, a place where you wouldn't own anything, but instead you would lease and license everything.
Living systems have been around for a few billion years and will be around for many more. In the living world, there's no landfill. Instead, materials flow. One species' waste is another's food, energy is provided by the sun, things grow, then die, and nutrients return to the soil safely. And it works. Yet as humans, we've adopted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. If we accept that the living world's cyclical model works, can we change our way of thinking so that we too operate a circular economy? One solution may be to rethink the way we view ownership. What if we never actually owned our technologies? We simply licensed them from the manufacturers.
Here's the thing. If the entire purpose of government is to protect property, what happens to governments when no one owns any property? This is exactly what the billionaire oligarchs want who desire an unelected global corporatocracy to run the planet. But if they're not controlling property, what purpose would they have? They see their role as controlling you. I asked a friend of mine who's a professor of sustainability what happens when no one owns anything. I told him that 9/10 of human rights derive from property rights. So what happens when no one owns any property? At a loss, he said, I never really thought about it. I asked if he had ever been to a conference or symposium where his colleagues followed out the logical consequences of their circular economy proposals. Chillingly, he said, no. So while academia has been remiss in thinking deeply about these things, billionaire oligarchs have been fast at work erecting the infrastructure of a world where you have no rights. These oligarchs want to discredit nation-states so that we'll reject them and in the ensuing chaos, accept their global corporatocracy in its place. So they're paying district attorneys, judges, and even police forces to sabotage our nation from within by shielding criminals and criminalizing law-abiding people. After all, why do we have something that's calling itself your government, but which is actually not performing any of the functions of government? Then what is it? Whenever legislators endeavor to take away and destroy the property of the people, or to reduce them to slavery under arbitrary power, they put themselves into a state of war with the people, who are thereupon absolved from any further obedience. The John Birch Society provides a national program designed to counter the big government agenda and to restore our rights, standing for constitutional freedoms for more than 60 years. The John Birch Society has been the force that protects and restores American liberty and independence. Check them out at jbs.org.